Hey, Taylor, welcome to the show, or
Thanks,
welcome back to the
Jason.
show.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
So my name is Taylor, and I am the previous owner of Dot and Company, which we're going to talk all about that today. But we specialize in account management for agencies, so helping agency owners remove themselves from that day-to-day seat, client-facing seat, with fractional account management.
Awesome. Well, I want to go, I think in the first episode we talked about kind of how you started. When when did you realize that you wanted to sell your agency? Was
Mm.
that like in the very beginning, like when starting, or when was it like, yeah, man, like I really want to sell this thing?
It was definitely something I thought about early on, and I knew I wanted to exit of in some capacity, whether it was just exiting the day to day, like you coach your agency founders on,
Mhm.
or a full exit. And obviously, I wanted a full exit. That's kind of, my dream, but I knew there was an exit in mind. So I would say after maybe the first year of starting the business, I knew I had to build it differently if I wanted an exit versus just to keep it as a
Like
lifestyle
how so?
business. So I knew that in order to remove myself from the day to day or to like get an exit, I needed to remove myself from basically everything that was critical. So things like sales, operations, fulfillment, admin, finance, like all those
Mhm.
key lanes I was involved in the beginning. But looking forward, thinking about an exit, I always thought like I'm not staying on. I want this business to be sold without me so that I don't need to stay on. So in order to get that goal, I need to make sure I'm basically irrelevant. And kind of fast forward to when I actually did exit, I had just come off of a 6-month maternity leave. So it was a pretty cool timeline where I was able to say, I am removed from every single one of these areas of the business and it can still operate and grow without me.
So how did you find the right people? Because that's and when did you have the courage in order to kind of pull that trigger and because I know a lot of people I've helped, I've even gone through it. One of the biggest questions is like when should I start replacing myself, and which should be the first thing I should replace
Mm,
myself? Do you have an
yeah.
opinion there, or
So
what worked for you?
right from the beginning, I knew a weak spot of mine was going to be managing people. And I knew that that would be something that would stop me from growing because we're such a resource heavy company. I knew that that would just stop me. So I hired somebody right from the beginning to manage. She was like the manager. And that really helped because I could grow and scale without having to think about how do I manage these people or how do I be, a leader to these people now. So that was the first role that I hired. And then, our business is a little unique where we had to hire people to take on accounts. So started to hire people for fulfillment. And then I removed myself from fulfillment, obviously too late because everyone does it too late. But I would say within the first 2 years, I was pretty removed from actually doing any work myself. And then soon after that, I realized that I was getting bogged down with sales and doing sales calls. And to me, it felt really repetitive. I was saying the same thing over and over and over. And I was like, I'll just bring somebody in from my team to take over sales. But looking back, I probably should have waited to get someone to take over sales until a bit later.
Did it
And
slow up?
it just kind of created more of a pain point for us where sales kind of slowed a little bit and I just couldn't figure out why. And I think it was because obviously it's easier when the founder can sell, but I had two people selling and they had very different styles and I didn't know how to coach salespeople. So in in hindsight, I would have stayed in sales and got a coach for me, and I would have got really good at sales. So then I could coach future salespeople.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a video this morning, just a short video, because I've been doing like this 30-day video challenge, like just put
Oh,
out short form content. And the video this morning was all about when should you bring on sales? And it should be once you have a sales system or a process, Because if you just go, crap, man, you just take over sales. Like
Yeah.
there's going to be so much confusion,
Yeah.
right? And then the other thing that I remember a mentor a long time ago told me is the difference between us selling and hiring someone to sell for us in the very beginning are the stories that we know that no one else knows about, like how we help someone or what problems that they had, and walking people through it in order to build that trust. And so when I started bringing on our salespeople and building our sales team, I would always go, here's the process, but here are the success stories. And I would always share like a success story a week based on a problem. So then they could relate to it. And then eventually they build their own problem, or, build their own success stories going forward. And they become way better than you because you
Yeah.
got patience.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
they have patience.
They have patience. They don't get bored like we do.
Well, did you find yourself too when you were doing sales? Did you ever sabotage yourself? Like
Probably,
this,
for sure.
right? Like you're like, man, my team's already maxed out. That's what they tell me, which
Yep.
is full of shit most of the time, right? They go, we're full of, we're maxed out. We can't take on anymore. And then you start slipping on delivery, and then subconsciously it makes me go, man, I'm selling my name. They're buying me. I can't, like, and then I sabotage sales. Did that happen to you at all?
I think so, probably. In those like, oh, everyone's too busy. And I'm like, oh, maybe we can't take you on right now. We'll put you on a wait list. Or, maybe this isn't the right fit, or, things like that. And I think that what I've learned through the process is a salesperson is a very unique skill set. And a closer, someone who's closing a high ticket, which is what we need, that's a very unique skill set. And you need to have a lot of experience, where I was training someone up from within, who now our salesperson's great after like a lot of coaching and training. But looking back, I should have just got really good at sales and then coached them,
Yeah.
or I should have, brought in a closer.
Yeah. I also look at it too of going, a lot of people think I need to bring in a salesperson that knows my industry.
Mm.
And I thought that for many years. But if you share the stories and they understand the concept of kind of like a salesperson for an agency or for us, they need to be solution oriented and,
Yeah.
be able to present a solution based on a problem, and, kind of listen or get the prospect to talk more, right?
Yes.
It's a different set of skills because they can learn our business. They can
Yeah.
learn, right? And like I
Yeah.
always talk about selling, the foot in the door. You don't have to know everything about Agency Master. You don't have to know everything about Dot & Co. or E2M or any of that. Just focus on this one problem and sell this one thing.
Yeah.
That's all. Go do it.
Absolutely. So looking back, that's definitely something I should have waited. And then I also layered in somebody to help with the operations. So knowing that I was going to exit at some point, I knew I needed somebody to lead the team, because again, managing people was just not for me.
Yeah.
So brought somebody in to manage kind of the operations, to oversee like finance operations, and to help us scale.
Very cool. How did you find that operations person?
Well, it ended up being my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I took him from his other job because it was a situation where I was like, I'm going to go hire this person, or you can quit your job and be the person, and you already own the business. So like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Would I do it again? No, but it worked out.
I've always been jealous of people working with their spouses, and up until recently, like my wife and we would never talk about business or anything. Like I didn't even know she had an agency for years and years, which was hilarious. And so I'd always be like I remember seeing like Swank Social somewhere. I was like, what is this? And then I'm like, wait, I know this person.
That's so funny.
And so what works for us is to have like, we can't report to each other, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a hard thing. So I basically was like, Stacy, or director of happiness, I was like, can you just not manage her, but just manage the process? And we'll be so removed. And we still don't talk about work, which is hilarious.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't think I would do it again. Like, it was awesome for the time that we did it. And like working together, I think helped us grow our business really fast. But it's nice to have separation. Like, I want to hear about your problems that don't spike my blood pressure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, because it could get tricky too. Like you're always talking about work and there's
Yeah.
really there's no separation.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, I don't know. Right. So what was I know that you guys met at, Elevate, E2M eventually bought you, and which I'm always excited. I mean, that's kind of why we do those, that Elevate event is for not just for people to be able to, learn what they need to do, but to make meaningful connections, and which I love that it led to an acquisition. So who reached out to who first? Curious.
Yeah. So E2M was sponsoring an event. This was in 2023 that we were also sponsoring, which was Baba Summit with AMI. So Manish messaged me on LinkedIn, cold message, and he was like, I still have it. He was like, hey, Taylor, we're both sponsoring this event. Would love to meet you. And I wasn't at this event because I was on maternity leave at the time. And I almost ignored him because I was like, who's this guy? I don't know. And then when I got back from maternity leave, I messaged him and I was like, hey, would love to meet. So we jumped on Zoom and kind of met each other. And we were like, oh, this is cool. Like we're both serving the same customer, white label. And then we just kind of stayed in touch. He came on my podcast. I did some training in his group. And then, yeah, we met at your event at Elevate in 2024. And that was the first time we met in person. And we were both kind of, when you meet someone and you're just like, you click and you just hang out the whole time and you just love each other. And that was Manish and I. We just sat together at lunch and we hung out in the evening. And we, after that we would text and be like, how are you? Thinking about you. Like, we were just good friends. And then we were at an event, both speaking later that year in October at Brent's event at You Gurus.
Mm-hmm.
And at that event, we were kind of chatting and he was saying how he was planning to grow through acquisitions. I was like, that's cool. Good for you. That's really exciting. And Marcel Petitpas was there and he was like, Anish, you should buy Taylor, like Dot & Co. Hello. And we were like, oh, okay, let's have the conversation. So at that event, we started to talk about it. We went out for drinks. We just kind of, I was very open about this is what's working in my business. This is what's not working. Very open book because I did not want to go down a path with a friend who, I wanted to make sure it was very open. And so when he went back home, him and Ronick and I, Jamie, got on Zoom, kind of did like a due diligence process, over the next few weeks. And then we both ultimately decided it wasn't the right time. We're like, okay, no problem. Like, let's reconnect next year. So then in March, we reconnected again with Brent because he was potentially coming on board at that point. And again, he was new to E2M. He had a lot going on. So we were like, let's just like give you a minute. Mm-hmm. And then I was going off on maternity leave. So I was basically gone for 6 months, which was like a great timeline looking back. And then we sparked the conversation back up in November and we closed by the end of the year.
What was there any kind of surprises that kind of happened throughout the process that you'd be like, I didn't expect that?
Something that we did that E2M requested during the diligence process was for us to meet in person. So during the process, they wanted to meet for 3 days, like in person. They flew from India, Denver. We flew into Toronto and we sat down and we like hashed out everything for 3 days. This was after we had already like give them everything for due diligence. and really just like future planning. Like, how are we going to grow and scale the business together? You know, what does your role look like? You know, basically like opening up the business. And I was like, is this normal? Like, you know, I'm going there and I know what I'm like. I'm going to tell them everything. So is this a normal process? Which, look, I think it is potentially in some situations. But they wanted to invite like our whole leadership team, but I kind of pushed back on that and just said like just a couple of us, like, you know, I more so to protect my team because
Correct.
I didn't want them to feel like, you know, you're going to sell the business. What if it doesn't go through? Like, this was the third conversation we've had with this group. Like, it could be another 2 years before anything happens. So yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah, I think it's the right move not to involve the whole team and tell everybody. Like the less people that you tell when you're actually going through it is the right move,
Hmm.
because I've seen so many companies, including agencies, they go through the due diligence phase and then it fails the last hour. That
Mm.
owner, for the 6 months of due diligence and going through, they start picturing piles of cash that they're going to get. And they're like, what am I going to buy? What, right? And they check out of the business. They stop solving problems because they're like, fuck it. It's their
Yeah.
problem, right? They'll
Yeah.
solve it, because a lot of people get to a point where you want to sell the business because there was some kind of pain
Mm.
in there that they couldn't figure out by themselves. And they were like, you know, like, I'm done. Right. Like, versus like reaching out to certain people. I'm not saying that happened to you, but you know, the majority of people, that's what goes through. So then when it fails that last hour,
Mm.
the company goes out of business because the owner took their foot off the gas
Right.
for that 6 months. They didn't bring in revenue. They didn't care about fixing the problems that were just building and building and building and accruing and, you know, compounding interest, all that kind of stuff. And the deal didn't go through. It totally, you know, hurt their ego and just dismantled the company.
Yeah. And honestly, I was nervous right up until the last minute, until it was signed. You
Yep.
know, I was like, not a done deal until it's a done deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely didn't want to.
Darby and I always go, and now Stacy's that way, where, you know, until we get ink, it doesn't count. And we even get off a call on, if we're talking to a potential member, and we're like, man, we really like this person. We'll never say it's golden. We'll just say it's good chance.
Yeah.
And then if they join, then we're like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah.
we can celebrate.
Yeah.
Right. How did your team take it when you made the announcement?
Really, really good. And I was very nervous. It
How'd
was
you tell
honest.
them?
Yeah. It was probably the one thing that would have held me back from moving forward, because, you know, when it's your business and it's like my baby, like, I wanted to make sure that they would be just as excited to work for Dot if it wasn't mine. So how did I tell them? So January 1st at midnight, it closed. And then everyone was back from the holidays on the 5th.
Wait, you mean
So
Brent Manish didn't do it the prior year so they could get the write off? Come on, guys.
no,
Like,
we did it on the 1st.
okay. Good job.
Yeah. So it was the 5th, the morning, like everyone's back to work after Christmas, after New Year's. And so I'm like, I messaged each of my leadership team, like, hey, I have some exciting news. Like, can I call you? They're like, yeah, what's going on? So like I called all three individually and just was like, hey, have some exciting news. You know, this is something that, you know, I've been chatting with these people for a while, you know, the whole story. And they were all really excited. And the thing is, we had been working with E2M for a while in terms of like, we had worked with a couple of their clients. They've worked with ours. And it was kind of like this partnership thing that had been like brewing for a while. So E2M was just like flying, like they were talking about E2M at Dot so much to the point where I was like, how do they know? Like, how do they know this is happening? Like, that's how much they were talking about E2M. So when I told them, they were kind of like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Okay. so they could kind of see it. And then,
Anybody leave?
no,
It's good.
I mean, it's only been a month, but like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen.
No.
And then we had Brent come in and chat with me and our leadership team. So they got to meet him, which was great. And then we told the rest of the team later that afternoon. So I was just like, hey, I have some exciting news. Please hop on at like 3 p.m. And then I sent an email. So day one, everyone on the team knew. Day two, we told all of our clients and we announced it publicly.
Cool. How'd your clients take it?
Really good too. A lot of people were like, oh, I've never heard of E2M. I really need help. They booked calls. So that was positive.
Good. Was it an asset purchase or they buy the whole company?
Bought the whole company.
Good.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Is there anything you guys would have done different? I know this is still early on.
Yeah.
And they're your boss now too.
I know I have a boss. I better watch what I say. I honestly,
Brent. No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah. I don't think I would have done anything differently.
That's good.
Honestly.
That's a sign of a good deal. All right. Like, it's never going to be like if there's not give or take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I always find, people look at like the valuations, all these stupid gurus put out there 5x, 10x, 20x, whatever it is on all these things. And that's just really like at the end of the day, and I do that, right? Like I go, traditionally people get 4 to 6x or whatever it is of EBITDA.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's what anybody's willing to pay for it and what someone's willing to sell for it. And if you meet in the middle and it can be, bigger together, great. Or, all that kind of stuff. You just got to kind of figure all those little things out.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
You did mention your company was your baby. I remember hearing that.
Yep.
How'd you sell your baby? How'd you get over that mental hurdle?
I think for me, it was one of these things where I still love it as if it's mine. I care about it. I care about my team. I care about the brand. I care about everything. But it doesn't have to be mine. Like I don't have to own it for me to feel that way. And after having a 6-month leave, being off on maternity leave, things change when you have kids, like real babies, and it's like, what do I want to prioritize in my life right now? And getting aligned on that was super important. So for me, it was kind of like this releasing my old self, right? It's like, I still care about it, but it's going to be in better hands with E2M. And so once I really believed that, that's when I think it was just like a no-brainer and I didn't attach. I had already removed my identity from it.
That's good.
By being removed from the business for so long that it just made it was kind of the next step.
Yeah, a lot of us, including me, my identity was tied up being an agency owner. So when I was not an agency owner, I had no identity. I didn't realize I was a husband, I was a father, I was creative, I was adventurous, innovation, all that kind of stuff. But when I started realizing that, I was like, oh, that's my identity, not an agency owner or agency advisor, or whatever that is. I'm like, as soon as I realized that mind shift, then I was like, yeah, you can give me how much?
Yeah.
Fucking take it.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
That's right. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Hopefully it continues to be fun for you and for your team, and for everyone that wants to come hang out with all of us. E2M's putting on a great event about a month after Elevate in Austin, Texas, called Vistara. I think I said that name right. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, good. If you do, I think it's joinvistara.com. We'll have a link in the show. And if you guys use Mastery 200, you'll get a special discount on there. So make sure you use Mastery 200. And until next time, have a swank day.